of ASGCT's Communications Committee, and you're listening to Soundbites of the annual meeting, recorded live here at ASGCT 2026 in Boston. I'm joined by three of our speakers from today's Communications Committee Symposium, which just wrapped moments ago, and we were talking about communicating your science effectively across different kinds of audiences, like funders, reviewers, collaborators, and broader audiences. So I'm going to introduce you first to our awesome panelists, and then we will go into a little bit of some discussion for those of you listening in and wanting some practical tips. So joining me first is Sarah Ellinwood, founder of Ellinwood SciComm and a SciComm strategist who helps biotech teams translate complex science into clear, audience-ready messaging. We're also joined by Cynthia Clayton, founder and CEO of Clayton Biocommunications, and she also is former VP of Comms and IR at Third Rock Ventures, where she advised biotech leadership teams on positioning and investor engagement. And finally, Lori Lennon, founder and CEO of Thinkubator Media, which helps women in STEM strengthen their visibility, communication strategy, and professional narrative. So Sarah, for scientists who struggle to simplify their work without losing accuracy, what's one practical shift that immediately makes scientific communication clearer and more compelling?
Yeah, so great question. I think about saying exercise I always encourage people to do to really kind of dive in and figure out how to tell their messaging and how to simplify it for clarity is to do what I call an audience matrix. So figure out who you're going to be speaking to about your science, your work. And from there, just really kind of break it down into identifying like who the audience is. So what kind of characteristics? Are they younger? Are they older? Are they strapped for time? Are their inboxes full of emails? Try to also outline what things they care most about. So what things are going to really kind of jive with them the most in terms of thinking about what you're saying. And from there, that really kind of helps you to figure out, take a look holistically at the work that you're doing and figure out kind of what key messages are going to resonate the most clearly. What things should you prioritize versus what should you maybe leave behind in terms of your messaging. And also, too, just helping you to not overhype your science, really kind of hit that right level for the audience that you're talking to.
So Cynthia, when funders or investors are evaluating opportunities in a crowded field, what tends to separate the scientific stories that resonate from the ones that don't?
Thanks, Lynnea. I think the decision-making process can often be collapsed into four categories, if you will. The first being, what is the problem? Why does this matter now? The second being, what's the mechanism? Why should this work? The third is differentiation. Why this approach versus others that are out there? And the fourth is inflection. In other words, what changes belief? Meaning, what data or milestone will materially change perception or de-risk the opportunity? One question I ask people that I'm working with to think about is, what would change a skeptic's mind? So if you can think about your approach with these four questions in mind, I think you will be putting yourself as best as possible in the shoes of an investor. I think it's really important to be aware that investors are being pummeled with opportunities on a daily basis. Not only the opportunities that are being presented to them, but also the changing dynamic and the changing environment. So you might pitch to somebody one day, and later that day, a company that's got a complementary technology just got acquired or just had a clinical failure. So really staying on top of what's going on in the industry is going to serve you very well.
Great tips. And Lori, you shared in your presentation a little while ago that no one is as invested in your work as you are. So a lot of scientists, like those here at the annual meeting, are deeply focused and passionate about the work that they're doing, but less comfortable advocating for themselves publicly. What's one thing researchers can do to communicate their value more effectively without feeling overly self-promotional?
Great. I love this question because I feel like they should be promotional because it's their work and it's what they're doing. think of it like, that analogy. If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound like no one hears it? Like that's what's going to happen to your research if you're not promoting your work, right? So I think one way you can get comfortable with that is not starting with the high stakes conversation with the person who needs to hear it. I think it's practice, right? Because you shouldn't really say what you're saying the first time you say something shouldn't be in front of the person who needs to hear it. So I feel like getting reps in can really start building comfort, right? So practicing your pitch, practicing it in front of people who can give you feedback, like real feedback, testing and refining, and getting a bunch of those reps in. So by the time you're talking to the person who needs to hear it, you're really comfortable, you have it pretty internalized, and you're ready to go. And I would say that it's never going to be easy the first time, no matter how much you try. So you just need to rip the Band-Aid off and know that if this work is going to get off the ground, you need to be the one to talk about it.
All right. Thank you again to Sarah, Cynthia, and Lori for joining us today. And stay tuned for more Soundbites of the annual meeting from ASGCT 2026.